Hello, good people of the internet. My name is TJ Hartmann, and welcome to my studio September sessions. Located just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And I wanted to give you a quick peek under the hood of my process and my gear and how I'm running my drums and how I'm getting them to sound like they sound. So let's take a look. Behind me are my lovely Pearl Masters maple gums, sizes 13, 16, 18 toms, 24-inch kick. I'm using a hybrid exotic snare drum, 14x8. The thing is a monster. All Evans heads, the UV2s all the way around, and I think I've got an EMAD on the kick. So those are the drums and heads, all Meinl cymbals. Shout out to Meinl and Pearl. But let's run down the mic selection. So starting with the kick and snare, I'm using an SE Electronics V-Kick for kick in, the Lauten Audio snare mic for snare top. Those two mics are running into my Warm Audio 273, which is like an emulation of like a Neve 1073, with just a little bit of EQ on the way in just to emphasize some of the fundamentals and take out some of the unwanted frequencies and kind of like the mid-range. Moving on to the toms, these are all the SE V-beats. So I'm using the smaller V-beat for the rack tom, and then the kick mic, the V-Kick, on the larger toms. I found over the years that the larger, more low-end friendly, low-frequency friendly microphones work better for the bigger drums, and they sound phenomenal. Those are running into a bunch of Cappy preamps that I have, the 500 series, and those kind of emulate the API vibe. So very, very drum friendly. Moving on to the overheads, these are big tube mics from SE. They are the Z5600A2s. I have those running into the Apollo preamps on my Apollo 8. There is a mono overhead, an SE2200, which is also running into the Apollo preamp, and that is also going through the Warm Audio 1176. The hats, I'm using a Shure SM81 that's going into a Neve 511 preamp. And then I've got two pairs of SE VR2 ribbon mics. Two are right in front of the kit in a Blumline configuration, which I'm running through the Audioscape 260 stereo compressor, and they're getting squished pretty hard. And what that's going to help do is kind of fill out the mid-range between the close mics and the far rooms. They kind of take up that information space, and the compression really helps emphasize the room tone. As you can probably imagine, if you've followed any of the stuff that I've done before or know anything about me, I'm a big live room type drum player, drummer. So I do enjoy having the far rooms and using a good amount of compression to make it sound like a big kind of rock vibe. Lastly, I have a pair of VR2s as my far rooms. Those are running into the 4710 preamp. And that's really about it. So the only real issue that you have to come into consideration with having multiple mics on a single source is phase alignment. Now, there are a myriad of talking points that I could address on this, but the biggest thing you want to make sure of is that your overheads are equidistant from your snare drum, so that you're getting that snare right down the middle of your stereo image. And again, there's other fine detail minutia I could go into. I, for example, went full bore with the measurement, and I even had a buddy come over with like a laser pointer to like digitally measure distances to make sure everything was in line. And then obviously you can go over your transients to make sure that everything is phased aligned and your DAW, all things like that. But it really, really, really starts with making sure that that snare and the kick are right in the center.